Welcome back to Dark Corner Streaming. Back when I first saw Swamp Thing, comic book movies were not really a genre in their own right, let alone the dominant force they are today. I wasn't a fan, but it's interesting to go back to it now and see the place it has in the early evolution of that world-conquering genre.
It doesn't exactly maintain a low profile.
This hits the beats of the superhero origin story with familiar character archetypes. The intelligent but fish-out-of-water heroine.
Me? In the swamps?
The prickly yet humane scientist hero.
Well, I wouldn't mind a tomato that could grow in the desert.
And the showy villain.
So I will introduce myself.
My name is Arcane.
Louis Jourdan, seeming to enjoy himself, heading a bunch of disposable henchmen.
Maybe we should get the hell out of here.
Once our hero has gained his powers, he swiftly establishes his dominance in fights and displays of superhuman strength, without losing his humanity, while still making time for the requisite stunts comic relief.
Oh shit. There goes the neighborhood.
And love interest, which in this case comes with a Beauty and the Beast flavour. Director Wes Craven was between his 70s breakouts and his genre-reinventing Nightmare on Elm Street, and Swamp Thing sees him using his horror skills while keeping things PG. I'd call this a nod to Frankenstein. He also hints at comic book visuals by using a series of creative wipes. All very familiar now, somewhat less so at the time, but you can certainly see the bones of a modern superhero movie, with one obvious difference. Money. This just doesn't cut it as a spectacular finale, and this is a film that sometimes talks a bigger game than it can deliver.
He's like a brilliant chess player. He anticipates every move.
Is he?
A strong adversary is like a beautiful, dangerous woman. I've never been able to resist either.
All this dangerous, beautiful, brilliant chess-playing woman does is pop up and throw your men around. This is most notably a problem in the motives of Jourdan's Arcane.
The duplication of the Holland formula.
His early plan to hold the world's food supply for ransom is a plot worthy of a Bond villain, and he should know.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
It's slightly harder to credit that, learning of the Swamp Thing formula, he wants this power for himself. I mean, to each their own, but it just doesn't look like that great a life to me, and for all the apparent invulnerability, he's still captured with a net. Another thing modern superheroes wouldn't stand for. I don't usually care about big budget effects, but here I feel it affects the story because I don't think they are able to convey a Swamp Thing Louis Jourdan might go to all this trouble to become.
It's over.
There is enough here to enjoy. Adrienne Barbeau makes an engaging heroine, even if she is damsel in distress a little too often. Ray Wise and Dick Durock are fine as the before and after of the Swamp Thing itself, and Durock would reprise the role both in the belated sequel and the TV series that followed. Swamp Thing is still not my favourite movie, but I like it more than I did first time around. Origin stories are tricky. They tend to feel rushed with the need to establish things, and the plot usually suffers, as it does here.
This has all the thrills of watching grass grow.
But I still think this earns the almost obligatory accolade of superhero franchise reviews. It does a good job of setting up the next film. Unfortunately, the next film was directed by Jim Wynorski, so that was that.
Sounds like children.
Wait here.
Thanks for watching. Any thoughts on this and other versions of Swamp Thing? Would you like to see him take his place in the current DC cinematic universe? Let us know in the comments below.